Thank you so much for joining us this morning. One of the worst things a client can do is come to us and say, I had this terrible employee working for me and I fired them last Friday. And let's look at the personnel file and see what's in there. And there's absolutely no written documentation. In fact, oftentimes it's usually, 5-star review after 5-star review, and there's not a lot in there. So no matter what type of employment litigation is at issue, whether it's a wage and hour claim, a leave issue, or a harassment claim, the amount of documentation an employer has dramatically increases the odds of prevailing in litigation. I may even go as far as to say there is a direct correlation between the likelihood of avoiding a devastating judgment and the amount of documentation the employer has regarding the particular employee or groups of employees involved in the litigation. When you are preparing for an evaluation, make sure you review and update the employee's job description. You should do a detailed review at least once a year and anytime an employee's duties change. As part of a formal review, you should have the employee look at the description to assess whether it is accurate or still accurate. And you really can't provide a fair evaluation or usable feedback unless everyone understands and agrees what the employee's responsibilities are.
Take the time to assess whether the job functions that are in that job description and just what the employee is doing generally are still aligned with organizational needs. So you have to ask that tough question: do the reasons we created this position still exist? And that's a hard one, but it's something it doesn't mean that you're terminating people necessarily, but positions evolve, right?
Performance should be evaluated according to established and agreed upon expectations, the list of specific outcomes that the employee knows they know you expect them to accomplish. Where appropriate, each of those outcomes should have a completion timeframe, and in most cases, the timeframe shouldn't be more than 12 months. And a lot of organizations use the term KPIs, which are key performance indicators.
So the next thing you're going to do is assess any training and development needs. Employee goals should be fair, but they should be challenging. And in different industries, achieving some of them will require new or improved skills. So if an existing goal includes training, part of the review process will be checking the employee's progress towards completing the training and achieving those expected competencies. And if you're setting or resetting goals, be prepared to discuss what training will be needed.
You should have at least a short list of items to discuss with the employee. It's also important to remind yourself that you need to be objective and fair. Of course, you are assessing actual performance, not anticipated or potential work performance. It's also critical that you don't let any personal likes and dislikes get in the way of measuring actual performance. We want to document significant conversations with employees, of course, any reviews, any days absent, and the reason for that absence, and any performance issues, whether they're good or whether they're bad. With email and the ability to scan documents or take pictures of documents on a phone, there's almost no excuse to not have everything documented. Performance reviews always include a few paragraphs explaining the manager's general assessment of how the employee is doing. It works best when managers take some latitude as to the content of this part. The assessment requires a general judgment on performance during the past year and a call to action for the future. It doesn't have to be the past year, but whenever the last performance review was.